Hey everybody, Kevin here from HumboldtCraftworks. Welcome to another episode of Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. That's me, and today we're going to continue on with our island bar build. So have you ever had things go wrong, one thing after the other, and you're like, God, am I cursed? Sometimes things happen, and that's just the way it goes. And that's what happened when I was filming this video. Just when I thought everything was working right, the camera dies. You know what it's like to get a nice shot and have everything done. You think you got it all figured out, and all of a sudden you look up and the damn camera's dead. Oh, this entire day of filming had one thing after another happen. It felt like a Monday. You know, you always think everything's going well, and then you look up and the battery died. Or you look over this way and my microphone died. And then the camera died after that. I'm like, oh my God. It's just me in the shop filming as much as I can by myself. And I don't always look up to pay attention to what the damn camera's doing because I'm actually working for a living. So where we left off the last time, I just glued up all the legs, right? And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna untape the legs. We're gonna scrape off the glue using this scraper right here. And I'm gonna explain to you why I do that. So as I'm building this island bar, I realized that it was too narrow and I had to call my client and change the length. So we did that. And I'll talk about that a little bit. After we get done with that, I'm gonna show you how I pick out all my parts, my door parts, my drawers, my face frame parts, out of raw lumber, and how I label it and what I do, and then I cross-cut it and all that. And then I'm gonna build a face frame that has 2 drawers and 2 doors with a center mullion in it, or a center style. And I'll show you how I go about building all that. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but life happens sometimes. And you know, it's just me in here filming by myself. Mr. Kevin's a busy contractor, and he doesn't always have time to check his cameras, which he should. From now on, I promise I'm gonna check all the batteries and make sure everything's up before I don't. Hey everybody, Kevin here. Welcome back to day 2 of building our portable island bar. So the legs are all done. Some of the tape came loose, but it's not a big deal. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take the tape off. I'm going to cut them to size. I'm going to make the face frame that's going to go in between the back 2 legs. And hopefully we'll get that done today. It's Sunday and it's 12:30 and I don't really feel like working, but I got to get this done because I have other clients that need me to start on their projects like a month ago. So if I didn't record this before, which I thought I did, but I probably didn't, taking the tape off sucks. Untaping that was a pain in the butt and boring. So the next thing I did was I took my beautiful putty knife and I sanded it with 320 to get the glue off from yesterday. So you sand it with 320 first, the same way I'm gonna show you right now. You lay it on there flat, the flat side down, and just go back and forth a few times to get rid of everything. Put it on the bevel size, and I'm just gonna kind of slightly work that bevel, just like this. This thing is now sharp. Sharp. And the reason I sharpen that is because now we're gonna scrape off the glue. The flat side's going down, the beveled side's going backwards like this. That just flakes it right off. This is sharper than a Sandvik. It's way better too. It's cheaper and it's easier to use. If you don't know what a Sandvik is, it's a scraper made of metal, and you have to use this burring machine to put a burr on it. Instead, I just do this. Once I discovered that this is easy to do and it's cheaper and it's just simple, I just went with that. And the reason we're scraping the glue off is because we don't want to round over these edges with your orbital sander, which it tends to do. We're still going to sand it with the orbital sander, but we're not going to try to hit the edges so hard. We want to keep these as sharp as possible until we sand them with 220. And you can hear the glue being scraped off. So we used 150 on the drum sander, which left a ton of little lines on here. And we're going to sand those ton of little lines off just with a 150 with our orbital sander. Yeah, I'm going to burn through it real quick here. That was really exciting, said no one ever. God, sanding is just boring. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna round this corner over with 220. I'm using 220 just to ease the edge. Take a pile of swipes at it with 220 and still not really round it over because your sandpaper dies before you even get a chance to do any damage to the wood. So it's easier to control the round over and make a smaller round over without grinding off a bunch of wood immediately. I don't know if you can see, you see a seam? You can't really see a seam, can you? So to the typical person, the lay person, they wouldn't know that this isn't a solid piece of wood. they'd have no idea if they saw it that it was a mitered up piece of wood, because there's no damn seam. It's just amazing. Just tape and glue, that's all you need. All right, so I'm gonna finish up the last two. I'm gonna scrape and sand away, and I'll see you guys when I'm done. The legs are done, they're sanded, they look beautiful. Everything has been labeled. This morning I was laying everything out and realized that there was only 36 inches in between here, and my client wanted to sit 2 people at it. So I texted her this morning and said, hey, we need to make this 10 inches bigger. I went over there, she agreed. So we're gonna make everything 10 inches longer. We're gonna keep it at the same depth, but we're gonna make it longer. I'll show you how I go about picking out the wood and what I think is best. The doors have to be the straightest and flattest wood, no matter how beautiful the grain is or it isn't. So we gotta pick out the best. And that's what we're gonna do next. So I have 4 boards that I'm gonna pick through. This we'll just call number 1, and I put number 1 on it. And let's see if you guys can see how unstraight or how straight these boards are. All right, I'm gonna call this one pretty damn good. It's very straight and beautiful. It's very rifty. All right, this is more of a rifty grain than quarter sawn, but it does have quite a few flecks in it. All right, so we're gonna put this one aside. This one might be good for the doors, and I'll show you the difference. I'm gonna write doors on it right here, because doors need to be flat. And this one's pretty flat, it's not too crazy. Then we'll go on to the next one. Okay, so you can see the problem with this one right here. It's got a big old crack in it. It also has this mineral line in it right here. And that could be a problem, because sometimes that will crack on that line. And you can see this. It's very, very wavy. So this might make a good drawer front or a side or a face frame part. Put this number 2. But it does have some really nice quarter sawn right in here. Okay, so we might be able to use that for drawer fronts. It depends on how it looks, how the rest of them look. All right, here we go. Okay, this one's got a nice bung hole in it. You can see that right there. That is not good. It's very wavy. This section right in front of me right here is very flat, and until right about where that bung hole is, and then it has a big crook in it. So these might make all right styles for the doors. What I'm looking for is flatness and anything that's a little tweaky. Right here it kind of tweaks out, and it's because of this huge knot. This is where the tree limb came out, okay? Yeah, so it's a little tweaky. We're gonna mark this number 3, and it also has a flat check right there. You can see it. And I'm gonna circle it. This is what I do every single time. I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna X this out. I'm gonna call this number 3. But this is what I do. I kind of grade my own wood after I picked it out, because you never know what you're gonna get really until you start planing it. I mean, you can take a good eyeball at it and look at it and say, okay, that'll be good for this. And it does have some nice markings. I mean, look right here. That's really nice. All nice all the way down through here. So it might be able to make small parts out of it. All right. Oh, almost hit the damn camera with this thing. This one's a little longer. I'm gonna write on this number 4. You can see there's probably an entire 2 board feet of crap. There's a knot, this is all cracked off. The back looks like poop. So sometimes you have to buy boards and you're thinking, oh, I don't want that part, cut that part off, but you still gotta pay for it because that's the way it works. All right, there you go. And this is just kind of slightly bowed the whole entire way down the hill there. But it also has very nice grain. So right in here, it's got really nice grain. It might make a good drawer front as long as it's not too tweaky, because the drawer fronts now are going to be a little wider, and so are the doors, because we've just added 10 inches to this whole thing so 2 people can sit at it, which made the doors each 5 inches wider and the drawer fronts too. But you can see right here it does have nice grain to it. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to redo my cut list real quick. I'm going to figure out what the size of the doors are, the drawer fronts are, and all that, and then we're going to draw it all out on the hunks of wood over there. I'm going to chop everything on my chop saw to get it roughly to size. So all this material is like a 1/16 of an inch thicker than I need. So I'm gonna face joint everything at a 32nd of an inch until I get it flat, and then I'll probably just take a light pass with the drum sander, just like I did the legs, to get them all the same thickness. So when we build everything, it's all gonna be uniform thickness. So I usually don't plane anything when it's within a 1/16 of an inch. I usually drum sand it all down with that pile of crap drum sander I have. That's the only way I can get everything to a uniform thickness without taking off too much or leaving planer marks and things like that. So, all right, that's what we're gonna do. I'll see you in a minute. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get the stiles and the rails for the doors. And I'm gonna try to get the 2 center stiles together that go together as one grain match. So that means we need something at least 4.5 inches wide to pull that off. All right, and this is a pretty good spot right here. This is pretty flat. Here's the end of the board. The end of the board is right here. Usually I cut off at least 3 inches at the end of the board because of checks and things like that. It doesn't look like it has any, but just to be safe, well, that's what we're going to start with. We're going to cut that off. So here are the two. Here's the door like this right here. Boom, boom, look. And there's a 1/4 inch gap in here. So this style here and this one here are going to grain match. This one and this one. The outside two don't really matter too much, but whatever. We're also going to grain match the 3-inch bottom rails here and the 2-inch upper rails, 2 and 2 here. All right, so that's what we're looking for. First thing we're going to do is all of the styles. I need at least 4.5. We'll just go 4 3/4. I'm going to go probably like 26. And this is going to be doors, and it's going to be center styles. All right, 2 and 2. Boom, and then boom. The next thing we need that is really big that we really would like to get flat are the 2 drawer fronts, which are 6, which is way down here. Here's the other thing you want to do. You always want to check the back side. Here's the back. All right, defects like that you don't want in the back of your drawer. Everything up here is where the drawer is going to be, and this looks pretty good. This is 44. I'm going to go 48 just because I need a couple extra inches in case something gets a little wonky. I'll just go 6 1/4. All right, so this is all scrap right here. That side over there looks like poop anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So we have our 2 drawer fronts here. We have the 2 doors over there. How's this looking over here? I'll flip this back up, take a look. Yeah, it looks pretty straight. I'm going to put another mark out here, and these are going to be the outside styles here. All right, so this board is basically spoken for. And now we have all of our beautiful parts for our doors. Now we just need rails. So what I'm going to do after I get this all done, I'm going to chop everything up and then we'll rip it. So I'm going to chop it large, like I said before. I always cut things a few inches longer than I need, and then we're going to rip it because it's easier to deal with when they're 40 some odd inches than 10 feet long, which this board is, it's a pain in the ass to deal with. All right, so the next parts we're going to get are the rails. We're going to get the rails done. And that end of the board looks like absolute crap. It is twisted sister. All right, so here's what we're looking for. We're looking for something that's like 18 inches twice. That's 36 inches. And this board has parts that we can use, but it's not as good looking as some of the other stuff. All right, let's see. God, this one's got a huge butthole in it too. All right, here we go. Right where this nightmare is, we're going to cut all that crap out. We're going to go 40 inches this way. We'll put a line here, and we're going to go, oh, it's got a freaking flat check in it. Hear the difference? Shitbags. Wonder if I could fix that. Favorite tool ever. Here we go again with the craziness. All right, see that? Yeah, look at that. Okay, so is it all? What I'm doing here, I'm just purposely chipping that out. And I think I could fix that. I think I could fix this with epoxy. I'm going to show you the epoxy trick for fixing damaged goods. Yeah, I think I could fix that. So you see that now? All right, we're going to follow this throughout the entire project here. And I'm going to fill that with epoxy. Yeah, it was just from the planer. I'm going to show you a special secret trick that Mr. Kevin learned years ago about how to repair screwed up wood. Because sometimes things happen, sometimes they get dented and stuff, and things like this happen. So this is door rails. All right, all the rails are right here, boom. Now we have this beautiful piece right here, which is pretty damn flat. How long is this? We can make the rails out of this stuff here. That's 38, 39 inches. I'm going to use these for the stiles and the mullions, right, or the center stiles. So we're going to do all the stiles. So styles would be 3 1/2 plus the 2 in the middle, another 1 1/4. Okay, so here we go. We got those ones figured out what we need, and this one and that one. Now all we have left is the 43s, which are the rails. Okay, so we got that one. We're gonna take this one and put this over here. All right, we have this ugly ass long one that we had from before, right? So we're just gonna use this 43. It's kind of nice looking, but so we'll make it 48. 2 1/2, that's 3 plus the one in the middle. That's done. We have this done, so that's done and that's done. All right, now that I got all the parts that we need for the face frame and the doors done, and they're on here, So I'm just going to go and cross cut all these with my chop saw, get them to a manageable size. Then I'm going to rip them on the table saw, join them down, probably face joint the door parts, drum sand everything to 3/4 of an inch, and I'll flip you back on once all that's done, it's all cross cut and ready to go, and we'll assemble everything. It'll be fun. Okay, here we go. Board's all cracked up. All right, so now we're going to build a face frame. So we got the 1.5 inch top rail here. Here's the 1.5 inch bottom rail. We have the 1.25 inch mid rail, and then we have to deal with little parts, like this little guy right here, which is the center stile, and this is the upper stile right here. Put an arrow on this right here, and that right there, so that grain will go together here. Woo! Grain match. So, how do you go about laying all this crap out? Well, I'm going to try to open that lens up, push that camera back so maybe you can see what I'm doing down here. Give me a second. All right, maybe you'll be able to see it now. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start attaching everything to either the right or left stile. Let's just pick one and go with it. Let's say the right side, huh? We're going to do something a little different. What are we going to do, Mr. Kevin? Well, first I want to make sure I got my grain going the right way. There is a side that makes it look better. So if the rail's sitting like this, it's going to look better. So I'm going to put that like this. So this little guy's 5 inches, right? So we're going to put that in here. No matter where we put it, this space is going to be 5 inches. But the only problem is we got to put this in the center of that. Oh, how the hell are we going to go about that? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. These rails are, what, 43? This is 1.25 inches. Using the calculator again, 43 minus 1.25, 41 3/4. Now we're just going to divide that by 2, 20 7/8. So that means when the doors are all built, it should be 21 7/8, and that's what's on our cut list, and that's what our drawer fronts are. So that is correct. All right, I have a piece of scrap. I'm going to put a square edge on this side. 20 7/8, right there. Okay, we have our pieces 20 7/8. We have all these pieces here. Here's how we're going to do this. We're going to start just like we normally would to hang this over just a little bit. All right, here we go. So this is going to be stained, so we don't want to get a bunch of glue on the outside or the inside of this frame. We're going to use our thumb technique, like I showed you in that last video, and pull it out so the glue doesn't come splooging out. Get this as flush as you can to begin with. Make sure this plate down here doesn't get in your damn way. Because if that happens, then your screws strip out and you're really screwed. You use your hand to hold on to the clamp like I've always said before. And make sure your screwdriver is going backwards when you go to use it, because that really works well. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to use our little block here. We'll come all the way around here. I'm also going to use a spring clamp to hold that in place, because that's what spring clamps are for. They're to help you out here. All right, and before we go crazy and put this in here, we're just going to hold that in place and just see how this works. It's exactly the same, and that's what you want. And we're just going to clamp that on there. This is touching this stile over here. I'm going to put a screw in this puppy right here and put glue on this guy, right? And we're going to put glue all over it at first. Okay, like this. I'm going to glue the crap out of it. I'm going to let it sit there a second. Wipe this on your apron. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm going to remove the glue a little bit from either side right there. Okay, if you leave it long enough, this will just soak right into the end grain, because that's what it does. Push everything up against there. Boom, good. So I'm pushing this way with this finger, clamping it in place. Holding onto the clamp so we don't poke ourselves. Yeah, it's in there nice and tight. It's flush. All right, so now that one's in. Now we're gonna work our way down. We're gonna leave this end open because we're gonna do that last, because it's easier to put the last stile on and get all the rails in place than do it the other way around. So I'm gonna make a little 5-inch piece for this guy right here. Usually do this all ahead of time, you make it look slick, but not me. This doesn't have to be absolutely perfect because it's overlay, and it's not like an inset door. And you overlay it, and you won't see if it's off a 32nd of an inch because it won't matter. Okay, look at that. So we're gonna attach it here, and we're gonna attach it here. So we have to glue two things at once, two things. I'm gonna put this on an angle, I'm gonna clamp it over here. Clamp it, Jed. See, that'll help hold it in place. We're gonna clamp this guy into place. I'm going to actually take my pencil and I'm gonna mark on either side on that stile. That's where the glue is gonna go, right in there. And I'm gonna put a screw in this guy. I'm gonna glue this one first. Just glue it right in the middle, and I'm gonna pat it around. I'll go all the way to the outside like I always do. Glue everywhere. Let it sit for a second because that'll soak in. You want to get glue everywhere, especially on oak. Oak just sucks in the glue because it's so porous. More glue. All right, we're going to do the same thing here. Wipe it off a little bit on both sides. So you got like an eighth or so. Now I'm going to pull this way towards me. I'm pulling it towards me and right there. This is tight. This is tight. It's all tight, baby. As soon as you hear the noise goes up, and it's done. Now we're eyeballing that, and the pencil line is right on the money. Put this back in here. I'm gonna check. Yep, the pencil line is still good. The reason I put the pencil line on there is just to make sure it's kind of square in there. All right, look at that. So we have that, and it's in place. I like building face frames. All right, so which way looks better? Kind of that way does. So if this is gonna be up, then this needs to be up like this. And now we're gonna put it like that. I'm gonna take this clamp here, just clamp it to the bench so it doesn't move. Glue the snot out of this guy over here. All right, it's flush on the bottom, super flush. I always start with the inside one and then work my way down. Sometimes if you start out here on the outside, this piece will snap. I don't know what the deal is with that, it just does. It'll crack the end grain. If you at least get the first one in there, it's farther away and it won't snap it. That way, if this one snaps it, at least this one's tight. It's hard to explain. It's something you do after you've built 100 of these things. It's like, I always put the inside screw in first because this one out here has a tendency sometimes to snap or just crack the wood. And then once that's cracked, you go to put another screw in, it's cracked even worse. So I always start with the inside one, screw it together, and Mr. Kevin logic, I don't know. So that just leaves us one thing, and that's just to take all these guys right here. You probably don't need to clamp it down now, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And I'm going to glue the ends so it has a chance to suck up for a little while. All right, so we're gonna take the inside of that one off, these two sides right there, and this one right here sucked up all the glue already. Good God, man. Quarter sawn red oak has a tendency just to suck up glue. Have our two clamper dampers ready. All right, so this one has to go up because the arrow is going up. Pocket screws are gonna go into the legs. I'm gonna do this guy first. We're just gonna clamp it sort of in place. We'll get it better in a second. All right, so we're gonna start with the inside screw on both these just to get them held into place. Okay, see how the handle is? Hold on to the handle. It doesn't really work so much when it's like this, but we're gonna try it anyway. Because it seems to be pretty well lined up. One bad. Better when it's like this though. That's the way you should do it. Now we'll do the outside screws and then we'll do this guy. Oh, we forgot to put the mid rail in. Don't! Oh well, we'll do that in a second. All right, so we're gonna put this in here. I'm gonna shove this all the way forward like that. All right, well, we always forget something. I'll show you how to fix it. So Mr. Kevin would have been a smart fella. He wouldn't have forgot this one, but I keep thinking I'm doing inset stuff still. This is an inset. We gotta put this guy in. Oh, look at that, it'll fit. It'll fit just wonderfully. I'm just gonna put this guy in place like this. Help hold it in place. So now we got this guy, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take this fellow over here and put it in here. Here's the top, and this is the top, so we're gonna flip it over like this. We're gonna put some glue on it. Now we gotta glue both of these at the same time, which makes it more exciting because you get glue all over the place. So if you screw it up, you got a mess going on, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes you can just take your finger and shove the glue in. Yeah, sometimes that works. Now this job, unlike the last job that we did that was blue, if you get glue all over the place, you're gonna have to sand the crap out of it because we're staining this and the stain will show the glue up like nobody's business. Kind of lay it in place there. We got that sort of in place. Clamp it, Jed, push it over, clamp. Oh boy, get it? there's that. It's still sticking up in the air. All right, just flip it over the opposite direction. Clamp this puppy in here like so. Put it over to the block. And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we done doed it. There we go. There's our face frame. We got two doors down here. We're gonna have a nice adjustable shelf in there also as well. Wow, we built a face frame. Well, that was exciting and fun, wasn't it? Now we're gonna check it for glue. Hopefully I don't have any glue anywhere. So we have a glue on the joints on the outside where I rubbed everything out, and we don't have any glue sticking out of anywhere. So that's good. So we're gonna let this face frame sit until tomorrow, and then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna sand the inside of all these rails here and ease the edge because I don't like them sharp. I don't want my clients banging their knuckles on them and hurting themselves. So we have this is grain matched here. Now this is the same grain as that, but you can't tell, and these are the same board too, but you can't tell, they're so far apart. So some places grain matching is, you can't really tell. Yeah, but it's fun to do. So, all right, face frame done. All right, next we shall do the doors.
Subscribe now.
I'll put my gloves on. Put them on the wrong hand again. That's always smart. When I look at wood, that's what I'm looking at. When I'm looking at the oak, not looking at wood, I'm looking at the oak. Right, like camera action. Oh wait, I'm not ready. Hold on, I forgot all sorts of things. I got my smart hat on again. This is the way I go about figuring out all my stuff. It's not a pretty thing, it's just the way it goes. It's just amazing. And thanks for watching, we'll see you.